We again have three complex numbers, 2e to the minus j 25 degrees, j minus 1, and j plus 2, all in this mathematical expression which we want to simplify into a single complex number in exponential form. So again, we're multiplying this times this and dividing that by this. Multiplication and division are most easily done in polar coordinates. Let's convert the two numbers that are in rectangular coordinates to polar coordinates and then do our multiplication and division. So converting j minus 1 to polar form, j minus 1 has a magnitude that's the square root of the real part squared, which is -1, plus the imaginary part squared, which is 1. And it has an angle e to the j inverse tangent of the imaginary part, which is 1, over the real part, which is -1. Now again, we want to check what quadrant this is actually going to be in. So if this is our real imaginary axes, I have a real part of -1, an imaginary part of 1. My number is here, and that should actually be 135 degrees. So this becomes square root of 1 plus 1 is square root of 2 e to the j 135 degrees. Converting j plus 2 to polar form, the magnitude is the square root of the real part squared, which is 2 squared, plus the imaginary part squared, which is 1 squared, e to the j inverse tangent of the imaginary part, which is 1, over the real part, which is 2. Checking the quadrant, the real part's 2, the imaginary part is 1. We're going to be in the first quadrant, and this is going to be 26.6 degrees. So this becomes square root of 5 e to the j 26.6 degrees. Finally, let's plug all of these into our expression so that everything's in polar form. We have 2e to the minus j 25 degrees over square root of 5 e to the j 26.6 degrees times the j minus 1 became square root of 2 e to the j 135 degrees. Now, it doesn't really matter whether we multiply or divide first. Both of those operations are commutative, so let's multiply this times this. So multiplying the magnitudes, I have 2 times square root of 2, e to the j, and when I multiply, I add the phases, so I have -25 plus a positive 135, which is a positive 110 degrees. That divided by square root of 5 e to the j 26.6 degrees. So dividing two complex numbers in polar form, I divide the magnitudes. So this is 2 square root of 2 over square root of 5, e to the j, and I take the phase of the numerator and subtract the phase of the denominator from it. So this is e to the j 110 minus 26.6 is 83.4 degrees. And there's our final answer.